So in tactic number 2, we talked about potentially retiring invoices, but right sizing your estate is understanding where your systems are and on what service they are and whether they're appropriate anymore. You know, because what happens over many years again is that these systems, you may have, I don't know, you might have bought a system that's running on Oracle 9 database and it has a third-party system on top of it, and it's fine, but you can't upgrade it even though Oracle want you to upgrade to version 18, 19, whatever the database, because the vendor of that third-party application says, well, no, we don't support that version, it's only versions 8 or 9. So when you then look at that estate and you understand your plans and you match it up to your invoices, you can then start to say, well, actually, I don't need so many processor licenses, I can retire some of those. Looking at the shelfware that you're using, as Mark said on an earlier point, Oracle don't allow you to retire shelfware. But understanding what shelfware is on what invoice, and therefore maybe some of those other invoices can map to other systems, means that you might be able to make economies of scale in all of that. And, you know, look at the future. You know, a lot of people are taking their legacy Oracle systems and they're saying, well, you know, I want the benefits of cloud. So I want to move that to a cloud, but I don't necessarily want to move it to Oracle's cloud. I just want a cloud. So, you know, you can move it, for example, to Amazon Cloud Services. So you can get the benefits of the system in the cloud with all the flexibility of processors and disk and all that kind of stuff, storage, whenever you need it. But as you do those things, it's about understanding your estate and saying, well, actually, you know, that's the whole system. That's great. It's going to be there for another 3, 4, 5 years. If I move it to the cloud, I can, you know, leave it there indefinitely. And so you remove yourself from the constraints of the hardware. You start to make it a flexible system that's performant and it's on the latest technology, and you're optimizing your use of your licenses. So there's a lot of work that needs to go into these things and understanding where you are now, where you're going. And also I would suggest what people don't really do enough is say, be honest with themselves and say, you know, I've been trying to replace that system for 5 years and I've never got around to it. And you know what, it'll probably be another 5 years. So let's move it to Amazon and let's just not worry about that, because we want to concentrate on the frontline system. So it's about, you know, being honest with yourself, planning it all out, and then you can make sure that your estate is probably a lot smaller than you thought it could be. And again, going back to the last point, you can then put yourself in a very strong position. So Mark, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, all great points there, Mark. And yeah, let me give you the flip side of that. Let me give you Oracle's view of this when they think of right sizing your estate as a customer. You know, when they think of right sizing, they think of how can they grow your estate? How can they grow their footprint in there? And of course, we mentioned earlier that Oracle contracts really don't allow you to take out product you're not using, take out shelfware, reduce your maintenance spend or whatever it may be, or subscription spend. You know, they're not built for that. But when they talk about right sizing your estate, what they do is they say, okay, look, maybe 20% of your estate is licensed software you're not using, maybe never going to use, but you're paying maintenance or subscription on it. They'll say, why don't you take that spend and put it into Oracle Cloud or new Oracle applications or whatever it may be. So what they do when they're thinking about right sizing your estate, they obviously, as I say, want to expand your footprint. So they will take your shelfware spend, put it into a potentially new cloud spend. So, you know, what does that do for Oracle? It maintains their revenues. So, you know, worst case, it's just revenue, even though you kind of product substitute a bit in there. But at best case, they can product substitute and increase a little bit. Because obviously what they're looking for is net new revenues in Oracle. That's the big thing that pays the big bucks on commission. So when they want to right size your estate, they're looking to take stuff you're not using, replace it with stuff you might want to use, ideally Oracle Cloud, because obviously that's their sales focus. That's where the commission plan is targeted today. And they want to move you to their cloud using this right sizing as a leverage or excuse to do that. So, you know, back to Mark's point, your remit here, if you don't want Oracle's cloud or you don't want this new stuff, is to just try and reduce what you're paying to Oracle for your to what you're actually using. But the challenge is that's not Oracle's remit, and that's not what Oracle's contract says. So unless you do something dramatic, third-party support is a good option. But if you don't, unless you do something dramatic, you're stuck in this wheel of selling motion where they're trying to upsell you continuously, and you're trying to get things reduced to a reasonable level. And it becomes a real challenge, and it becomes quite a contentious negotiation then to try and find something that gives Oracle something, but at the same time gets you the result you want, which is cutting your costs.